If you look at Māori crime by Māori, and also the fact that we, as Māori, we experience crime done to us. I'm going to show you something. That is a rate of child homicide. In the late 70s to the 80s, it was very much comparable. As of the turn of the century, Māori far outweigh non-Māori in that. And that is a brutal statistic to engage in. If you want to have a look at the documentation around that, or the empiricisms around that, you look back at the family makeup. Māori were, in that time period, Māori were 80% likely to be born into a married mum or dad home. 80% into a married mum or dad home. As of 2015, that's gone from 80% down to 20%. And we've seen the resulting social damage out.
I think that there's actually a reason why there is high crime rates within the Māori population. It comes down to colonization. So you have a generation that went into state care. You'll find that the majority of the members who are gang members are state care survivors. They are people that have been through a unique experience where they have been abused by the state, and they've just developed serious issues that leads them to a pathway into crime. To say, like, Hobson's pledge narrative would be to try and say, oh, all Māori are just degenerates, which is not true, because they've been
No
through,
way. No. I'll immediately call you out on that. No way. Come on. Be fair, at least. Be fair.
Other board members have argued with me on social media.
Totally disagree.
So,
but carry on.
So you've got a situation where Māori have been through a unique experience called colonization. And if you look at any Indigenous group throughout the world, they all have the highest incarceration rates out of the surrounding population. And it boils down to one factor. It's colonization and generational poverty. It's having your economic base stripped off you. It's all these factors that come from colonization and institutionalized racism. And a lot of people like to deny that these aren't factors that have caused a high incarceration rate amongst Māori, but they can't make a better argument.
So where's the institutional racism?
Well, the criminal justice system, for example. There's multiple examples.
So institutional racism, of course, is a policy procedure where it might multiply the conviction rate or sentencing rate if you happen to be Māori or something like that. Where is that institutional racism?
In our criminal justice system. And it's evidenced by, the incarceration rate. So, how do you think they ended up incarcerated?
By committing crime in general. You'll find a couple of innocents in there, but on the whole, we commit the most crime. Therefore, that I'm aware of your argument thread. This comes from the Rao Whānau report, which I read up. That's from Action Station. That is a quasi science. That is not a good scientific report. They stated that colonization was a main driver of, and they didn't even call it crime. They didn't call it violent offences. They call it acts of survival. So again, they're using words to try to say something that's not correct. They asked the families of the offenders as to what is the best way to help recidivism. The families mostly said family contact. We need to repair our broken families, and we need to be engaged in families again, nuclear families, essentially. They didn't use the word nuclear families, but that's what they were wording out. Now, it's interesting because the Rao Whānau report never once brought up the whānau or the family or the ainga in any different language, any different. All they went to was colonialism and abolish prisons and all of that absolute nonsense. And in the meantime, you've got things like the Kāhui twins, you've got Nia Glassy, you've got James Whakaruru, you've got all these beautiful little kids, all these beautiful little tamariki who have been murdered outright by others. And again, the empirical data is clear where this comes from. It's always been clear. It's been clear in the Black American community. It's been clear in the Indian, the American Sioux and the Cheyenne communities. It's very clear in the New Zealand Māori community. It is breakdown from the family, and that always, always comes from the growth of the welfare state. As boring and as painfully tragic as that is.